Hey guys, so it is really snowing out there. Today is a Thursday. It was predicted to be so bad that the clinics closed, schools closed, and the governor even stated an announcement of an emergency. So they're treating this very seriously. We're expected to get like 12 to 18 inches of snow. And as I was sitting here and looking outside, it brought me memories and days about my time in Michigan, because this was kind of more frequent when I was there. It's not necessarily that the climate was that, it was just it happened to snow more during the 4 years while I was in dental school. So the 4 years at dental school at the University of Michigan School of Dentistry, it was my favorite 4 years, and it's still the case today. I really miss being in Ann Arbor, and I especially miss being at the dental school. And here is why. So this is what I wanted to get. This is something that I got in the mail recently. It's basically one of those alumni magazines that you get in the mailbox to summarize what's been going on at the school. And as I told you just now, this means a little bit more to me than maybe the average person. The 4 years I had at the dental school at the University of Michigan were by far my favorite 4 years. Now, what's interesting is recently there was a lot of news stories about Michigan being ranked #1 by QS ratings and #2 international by the same ranking system. So I've been asked by colleagues, by patients, by people from other schools, they all ask me, is it true? Does the University of Michigan School of Dentistry deserve the #1 ranking in the US? So before I talk about my opinion on those rankings, it's a little bit important to kind of give perspective on my background. I did grow up in a small town called Kingsport. It was comfortable, it was safe, it wasn't a bad experience, but it wasn't a experience where I felt like I could grow. So I did the usual things like kids. I played sports, I played a lot of tennis, I played the violin a lot as well. And a similar experience occurred at undergrad. I learned a lot. I had a lot of faculty and mentors at school that really helped play into my decision in dentistry, but I felt like I was still limited. So that's a little bit history on me before getting to Michigan. Now let's talk about the school itself. So the first paragraph here talks about the vibrant curriculum. And this is actually important for my particular class of 2014. I started dental school in 2010. That was the first year that the dental school implemented this new curriculum. The new curriculum was called Pathways. The whole idea of pathways were for students to choose one of 3 paths. The first one is healthcare. In a way, that's the default. Healthcare is the one that had the most students, and within that path, you can then choose certain electives to any specialty that you're interested in. And these were changes primarily in the latter half of the second year and the third year. As far as the second path, it's leadership. These are activities, courses, kind of promote the idea of becoming a leader in the field of dentistry and teamwork. The third was the pathway that I chose, research. And this whole pathway's purpose was for students to choose a path and then complete a project by the end of the 4th year. With research, it's really obvious what those projects could be. It's basically potential benchtop research. And this was actually important. The whole idea of pathways was to allow the students to kind of grow into their paths and promote ideas for future career paths. And it was from that I went from just being a good student to becoming something bigger. And that's where I discovered regenerative endodontics. The next part is about teaching dentistry. So this part was also very important. I didn't realize how updated everything that we were taught until when I left the dental school. So that's when I fully realized that we had the scientific knowledge, the faculty to be able to teach us the newest things. And most importantly, they really focused on evidence-based dentistry. It wasn't just a presentation and absorption of knowledge of the most updated things, it was a mindset. A tag along with the pathways was this whole idea of research-minded, to be skeptical, to know how to understand the scientific method. So even if we graduate and the science changes, we would be able to discover that, look through the literature, and be able to evaluate between good papers versus bad. So that was kind of the broad ideal of learning at the school, but on a specific note, it was very organized. Each year we're given a PDF of the year schedule, the holidays and everything, so we can anticipate the bigger events. And within each semester and within each course, we had a awesome electronic hub called C-Tools, and that's where all the course directors can upload their PowerPoints, they can upload their PDFs, the literature. It was a great way to get organized before class, download or print the PowerPoints, or you can reference them, of course, after. In addition to that, we had a very well worked out podcasting system where each class was recorded. So again, if you missed class, you can reference back to the recording, or if there's a portion of class that you were confused about, you can go back and listen to it. And the next part, as far as learning, is within each class. There's usually a very nice volunteer where someone takes notes. And in our class, we were lucky. A guy named Misha took awesome notes. They were just the right amount of length and detail, well organized. And for a large part of it, we all did well in class because of those notes. And sometimes today I still reference back to them. So thank you, Misha. So another entry in this issue was about the focus on patients. And this is great, actually. And a lot of people, when they first think of Michigan, they think about the first two that I mentioned. It's very academic based, very research based. But in fact, it's more balanced than a lot of people think. So clinic for us started in our 2nd year. So part of the pathways was this whole change in clinic, where we went from 3rd year, which is time where most dental schools start clinic, to 2nd year. That whole year is a huge difference. And it's incredible that on the first months of 2nd year, we do our first restorations. Now this isn't havoc entry into clinic. It was very organized to where we started on easier procedures. We had the faculty and the staff to help us early on to make sure we knew which equipment to get, and the checks were different too. So it was incremental advances. And another example of that is our patient pool. We were starting out small along with filter procedures. And then as we move forward to the 3rd and 4th years, our population of patients expanded, our complexity expanded. So that's kind of from a student's perspective on the benefits of clinic. But from a patient's perspective on good patient care, it was also controlled. So a few things: the clinics were always very well maintained. If we have any issue, we send in entry on the computer and someone comes up to fix something within 5 minutes. Same with the software problems or internet problems or computer problems. Someone comes up within 5 minutes to fix. So the patients are getting great care with great maintenance, and nothing is basically ever broken. The second aspect of that is our patient care managers. So each clinic is given one person where they manage the population of patients, and they were basically grading us to make sure we called them a specific time, that they were never left behind. So each semester we're actually giving a patient management grade on how well we keep up our patient. So for a patient's perspective, it was also great in addition to all the clinic experiences that we have. So in addition to that, as far from a student's perspective again, we were given 10 weeks of external clinic rotations. This is unbelievable. So we would stay at hotels at 2 weeks at a time. Sometimes we had to travel for 1 or 3 weeks at community clinics. So in a way, it was both a fun experience and also really important clinically. And the great thing about these rotations were they were very similar to private practice. So we sit down, we have an assistant, and we have a full day's worth of patients. We're not talking about 1 or 2, we're talking about 8 patients a day. So that goes to another check mark on the patient experience. So the next entry here is about eminent resources, and this is so true. If you think about the NIH ranking as far as the most funding to dental schools, Michigan is always near or at the top 1 or 2. There's so much money that goes to the researchers there, it's unbelievable. We're talking about not just tens of thousands or a few tens of thousands, we're talking about millions of dollars. It's incredible. And we're talking about the researchers themselves. A lot of them are the leaders of the field, and the papers and the guidelines that we're reading now were a lot of ways related to Michigan faculty and researchers. And as far as the research projects that students can do, so this kind of goes into reference for the people like me that chose the research pathway, where we're giving opportunities to not just do baby research that's offered in a lot of dental schools like surveys or in vitro stuff. We're talking about curing cancer. We're talking about regenerating tissue. We're talking about curing dental caries. It's unbelievable the type of research that's available, and a lot of it is in-house in the building. All these lab is in a subset of the dental school called the research tower. So there's a lot of funding, and if you add to the part where there's a lot of collaboration in the school-wide of University of Michigan, like the medical school, the hospitals there, the engineering schools, it is some great research at the dental school with a lot of great staff. And a lot of these famous researchers are the same people that teach us. And the last part here is something that I saved for last, and it happened to be last in this issue as well, in this particular part of the magazine. And it's about the inclusive environment. The reason why this is so important is it was the culture of the school that was student specific. It kind of goes along with the pathways where it allows students kind of grow and choose their own career path. It kind of goes along with the care that we're given as far as being overseen in clinic. So the culture is just global along the dental school. I feel like I can talk to the dean just the same way I can talk to the dental students, and we are heard. They give us a lot of opportunities one-on-one or in classes or in groups about how we are feeling, how the school is, how clinic is. So it is constantly changing, constantly improving. And I'm making this video today because of that. Video making was one of the things that I started in dental school, and they were extremely supportive of that. I was surprised by that, truthfully, when I made Composite, and that's probably the most well-known video that I made. It was a music parody, it was kind of goofy, but they placed that video on the front page of the school's website. They even interviewed me, they even placed it in the Michigan Dental Association about it. And that whole inclusive and supportive, it's the main reason why I'm still making videos today, and why I still make videos about dentistry and trying to make an impact with it. So bottom line, guys, do I think the University of Michigan School of Dentistry is #1? Of course, in my biased opinion, absolutely. Go blue.
So at the very end of this issue, there's an honor roll of donors. I happen to be one of them. I am putting my money where my mouth is. I'm starting to donate to the dental school. It's very, very small. It's embarrassingly small, but I can't wait to be one of these special contributors one day and donate way more, and I promise. Thank you, Michigan.
Oh, on the snowstorm update, in the process of filming this video, you saw it went from a couple of inches to about, I would say 6 to 8 inches. It's very windy. There's very low visibility. It's colder now. This storm is real.